For my Foods of the World project, I chose the country Greece, and in this video I will be making chicken gyros. Greece uses many healthy ingredients, leading to them having one of the most healthy diets in the world. Some foods they eat daily might be bread, potatoes, grains, rice, and pasta. Some food staples they have in their kitchen are olives, olive oil, vegetables, lamb, beef, yogurt, and feta cheese. To start this recipe, I'm first grabbing a bowl to make the marinade for the chicken. Besides gyros, some other popular dishes in Greece are dolmades, moussaka, and korgeda balls. Common breakfast dishes they have are eliopsomo, which is a Greek olive bread, and kalori, which is a sesame bread ring. Common lunch dishes they have are keftedes, which are meatballs, and brium, which is a plate of mixed roasted vegetables. And some common dinner dishes are stafado, which is a beef and lamb stew, and soutsukaki, which is baked meatballs. That's usually served with rice. Before I start cooking, I'm going to wash my hands and then start to make the marinade. In this recipe, I'm using 2 of Greece's main food imports, which is meat, chicken, and then any dairy products. Greece has a significant amount of more food coming into their country than going out, but some main food exports they have are table olives, olive oil, fish, and cheese. The first thing I'm adding to the marinade is 2 tablespoons of olive oil. The next ingredient I will be adding is 2 tablespoons of lemon juice, and to do this I will be cutting a lemon and then squeezing the juice out. The next thing I'll be adding is 2 teaspoons of smoked paprika. Next, I'll be adding 2 teaspoons of cumin. Now I'll be adding 2 teaspoons of minced garlic. Next, I add a teaspoon of ground turmeric. This recipe called for 1 teaspoon of ground coriander, but I am substituting caraway seeds for this instead. Next, I added 1 teaspoon of salt. Then I added 1/4 of a teaspoon of ground black pepper. Now I'm adding in 1/4 of a teaspoon of onion powder. Next, I'm adding 1/4 a teaspoon of ground cinnamon. The last ingredient I'm adding to the marinade is 1/8 of a teaspoon of crushed red pepper flakes. Now I'll be stirring the marinade with a fork. Some common snacks you may never have heard of from Greece are Ion Amygdalou, which is chocolate, and Choco Freda, which is a crunchy waffle with chocolate cream as a filling. Some common drinks they have also are ouzo and mastika, which are both sweet liquors. For dessert, some common dishes made are galaktoboreko, which is a custard pie, and rizogala, which is rice pudding. After some mixing, this is what your marinade should look like. To let the chicken marinate for an hour, I will be adding it to this bag and then putting the marinade on top. To get all the marinade in the bag, I used a rubber scraper. I then sealed the bag and mixed the chicken around with the marinade just to get everything all mixed together. Then I'm letting the chicken sit for an hour just to marinate. While the chicken is marinating, I will be making my homemade tzatziki sauce. First, I'm adding 1 cup of plain Greek yogurt. Next, I'm adding 2 teaspoons of minced garlic. The next ingredient I'm adding is 1/2 teaspoon of dried dill. Now I'm adding 2 teaspoons of lemon juice. The last ingredient I will be adding to the sauce is a small piece of cucumber that is peeled. Now I'll be finely dicing the cucumber. Then I added in some salt and pepper, and depending on what you think of the sauce, you can add more or less. Then I used a rubber scraper to mix all the ingredients together. After mixing, this is what your sauce should look like. I decided to also prep for serving while the chicken was marinating. So first I took 1 romaine lettuce and chopped it up. Then I used 1/2 of a red onion and thinly sliced it. Lastly, I used 1/2 a cucumber and thinly sliced it as well. And then I cut up some cherry tomatoes into 4ths. Then I put all these on a plate to set aside for later. To cook the chicken, I will be adding some vegetable oil to a frying pan that is on medium heat. Now I'm taking the chicken out of the bag and separating some of it before cooking. After every few minutes, I would flip the chicken to make sure it was cooked even. After the chicken was done cooking, I added it to a paper plate with paper towels on it, which would soak up the extra grease. After the chicken cooled off for a little bit, I cut it into bite-sized pieces. Next, I took a slice of pita bread and warmed it up in the microwave. Then I added some of the vegetables I had prepped before while the chicken was marinating. Then I added some chicken on top of the vegetables. Lastly, to top it off, I added some of the homemade tzatziki sauce. After adding the sauce, you get your chicken gyro. If you ever visit Greece, some restaurants you may want to try out are Tudor Hall, Lithos, and Funky Gourmet. These are all very authentic Greek restaurants. Some table manners that you should know are that you should never sit yourself down before you're seated by a host, and that you shouldn't have your elbows on the table. To compliment your chef, you should also ask for seconds,
is to arrive half an hour later than
to
the
always
set
finish
time
all
by
the
a
food on
host
your
for a
plate.
dinner party, and also you should shake everyone's hand when you arrive and leave events.